Well, hello everyone. Well, you're probably wondering what the heck is he up to now? In my previous videos, I was explaining to you guys like how you were building the quad trails and everything, how it's a win-win. You can get firewood and bring it home or whatever and still make a quad trail at the same time. Well, now I got something new. This little gadget right here. My beautiful wife, Tammy, she actually bought me this for Christmas. And she was thinking like, you know, you're out there and you're bringing all this firewood. Like, we don't have a wood stove or anything in our home, just the kids do. So how much firewood they're going to take to burn? She said, so what are you going to do with all this wood? So she bought me this sawmill. And then what it is, it's a chainsaw mill. I'm not sure where she got it from. I think maybe Amazon or somewhere, but neat little sawmill or whatever. And I thought today's video, whatever, I'll show you something different where we can do with a sawmill. Instead of just bringing firewood home when we're building these trails, well, I thought, well, why not make my own darn lumber? And that way, if I have a problem, or say if there's a creek involved or whatever, and I have to build a trail through, well, now I can build my own bridge, but make a nice, good, safe bridge. Now, when I got the sawmill, it was a wonderful gift. I just couldn't wait to try it kind of game. Well, all guys are like that. Got to try the new toys. And but my chainsaw is a Stihl MS 250. So to have these sawmills, well, you got to have a ripping chain. So I went to our local dealership, whatever, and I said, gee, you know, I would like to have a ripping chain for this saw. And he at first said, yeah, no problem. Yeah, we can get this for you. So I had to wait till after the new year, so which was fine. It was cold out anyway, so it's not like I was in any rush. But anyways, he gets a hold of me and he says, well, you talked to Stihl, and no, they don't make a ripping chain for that type of saw, saying that saw is too small for doing any chainsaw milling. And I thought, well, I'm not doing logs this big around. I'm doing logs this big around that's just coming out of the trails. So I did my research and everything else, and I thought, well, I can make my own ripping chain. So I bought a brand new chain, and I thought, well, I'm going to make my own. So I did the research, and be darned if I didn't make my own ripping chain. Like I said, this is just a Stihl MS 250. It's only probably maybe 45, 46 cc's, and for these type of sawmills, well, they're recommending you should get actually about a 70 cc, which in time I probably will, and use this one just strictly for my quad and building the quad trails and using it for cross-cutting in the bush. But so anyways, I'm going to prove a point here that you can use an MS 250 if you know what you're doing. The sawmill is pretty basic. It's a simple little setup for what it is, and I think they're around $100 if you, on your Amazon. There's other places that maybe has a better quality in a chainsaw mill or whatever, so you're going to pay around probably maybe $200-300. But what I had to do, there were certain things I had to do that I was not happy with. Number one, I had to put washers in here, in these bolts just for the mount, because what was happening, well, you get what you pay for. And what was happening, this was all coming loose as I was using the mill. So I had to get washers and put in here, which is fine or whatever. And then now it seems to be quite tight. You can see there's a lock washer here and stuff. But now she's quite tight. Another thing I had to do is these U-bolts. The ones that come with the saw, if you over tighten it, you're gonna strip it, which I already done that with this one. So I had to go down to the local hardware store and I picked up a new U-bolt for it. And which is nice is that my tool now for taking my chain out and stuff is the same tool now I can use for this. So I'm kind of happy with that instead of using two different types of wrenches. But now I got the new ones in here and stuff. I'm not having any problems, and you don't have to over tight these at all. Like, you don't over tight them. And I don't know if close up in the camera you can see it, but there's even a gauge in your inches. So whatever board you want to cut, right now I got mine set at 5.5 inches when I do my first cut, which I'm going to show you guys in this video. So first things first, wherever to get started, obvious, we're going to need some logs. So, and these logs here, you're not going to believe it, but I hauled it with that little ATV trailer that you've seen in the beginning of the video. That little tiny ATV trailer hauled these logs without touching the ground, and I packed them out of the bush. But that's going to be another video I'm going to make coming up, a little thing I built with my own lumber that I can haul these logs and not drag them. I don't want to be dragging logs because then they get dirty. Then you're going to be debarking them. It's bad enough they get enough dirt in the bark as it is. This way, whatever, I'm not debarking or anything like that, so my chain doesn't go dull right away. Now, another thing what I have here or whatever is, this is just a temporary setup. I want to make enough lumber. I want to build my own stand and everything, so I'm doing my chainsaw milling or whatever. I got a proper stand, but I just use normal sawhorses, and I just kind of screwed these, just kind of cut these 2x4 pieces and put them on here. It'll just hold the log in or whatever from moving around, so when you're milling. But like I said, this is going to be a temporary stand, but you just got to make do with what you can afford and what you can do. I just can't buy everything at once. Imagine most of you out there too is that, yeah, you're not rich, like you can't afford like log trailers and expensive $1,000 saws and stuff. So we're going to make do with what we're going to have here. And that's basically on this channel is affordable things and ventures that you can do. So temporary, just using these sawhorses. Now, another thing I built here too was, this wasn't from homemade lumber. This is, I've actually had this built for quite some time. What it is, it's called a sawbuck. So what I do with my first cut slabs, whatever, if they're not salvageable enough, you know, if I don't want to keep them, whatever, I throw them on top of here, and then I can just buck it up into firewood. And so whoever wants firewood or whatever, at least they're nice cut slabs. You don't have to take an axe, nothing to do any splitting. What I got on here right now, I got my rail on here or whatever, just kind of storage spot or whatever, but I'm going to show you how that rail is, and I'm going to explain how I built that one too. What I did, whatever, actually was sitting on top of our sea cans, and I thought, hey, that will work for a rail for my chainsaw mill. So I basically did whatever. I didn't have to do any cutting and stuff, but I did cut pieces of wood here and screwed them in like this, just so with a bolt. Just get some of the sawdust off it. Obviously, you can tell I've been using it. So I just put bolts on the end, and what that's for, whatever, so I can stabilize my stand on top of a log if I have to. But this stand is pretty sturdy. I haven't really used these leg bolts or nothing at all, but I thought in time I might need them, but so I have it on there just in case I do need it. But right now, I haven't used them yet. But neat little stand, but I think they were off of what I have on our Quonset. Over here, our big Quonset. And what them big doors are actually from the airport, as I was told when we bought this place. They're actually airplane hangar doors. And what the stand here is this is actually parts for that door. So I thought I may as well use them. They've been sitting on top of the sea can. Well, may as well get use out of them instead of throwing them out. So that's my rail that I'm going to be using. Some just simple little tools I picked up cheap. You can get them off Amazon, and I'll try and see if I can. I'll leave a link for you guys in the description below if you're interested in this for yourself. Another one is one of these hooks. There's a word for it. I can't really remember it. But what's nice about this, whatever, is that I don't have to climb up on top of that log pile and slip and fall or anything, because it is winter time. So yeah, you get ice buildup and everything else. So I don't want to slip and fall. So what this hook is good about is I can go and grab my log. There, I can pull my log down. But simple little tool. And they're not very expensive at all, but it's nice where I don't have to stand up there or whatever. I can just pull my log down. Now, another tool that I picked up too was this grapple hook. It's just a simple handheld little hook. And I actually bought 2 of these, and these are not expensive either. Like I said, I'll leave a link in the description below for you guys, and if you guys are interested in this. Very inexpensive tool, and you might, even if you're not using chainsaw milling, just when you're camping and stuff, these things are great. You can pick up the log, you don't get your hands all tree sap or anything, but very handy little tool. So then all you got to do is you go up to your log, basically, and you can just go like this, and you can pick your log up. Or you can drag it, comes unhooked. So like I said, I picked up 2 of them, so if you're picking up anything with myself and my health, whatever, I can't really pick up that log and just walk around and carry it. Not like Hercules. But very handy little tool to have. So we're gonna get this log drug up or whatever and get her on the stand and get things set up, and Then I'll start showing you how I'm doing a chainsaw milling with a small chainsaw. All right, let's get a log up here and get this all set up. All right. So easy that was. Let's grab this end here. All right. Pretty simple using this tool. Like I said, you're not manhandling the log. It's so much easier. You can just pick it up with one hand, get the log up on your stand. Now the way I had them built, like I said, I use these sawhorses for the stands and stuff. Over here, actually I made this one here about 1 inch, just a little bit higher because your log is kind of shaped, you know, go smaller at the end. So when you're making your cut, you want to make a nice straight cut, right? So that's why I made that an actual inch higher than on this other side. But all right, let's get this log set up and get it all figured out. You want to make sure too your log, if it's not straight, it's got a little bit of a bend in it or a crook in it, you kind of want to put that on the top and you want to skim that part off. You might waste some, but oh well, we'll go to firewood. It's not a big deal. But so you might waste some. This log here is actually pretty darn straight, so I should be okay with it. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to roll this log on here. Get it up on the ends. But that's why I have these grooves on here. Now my log's not going to be moving around too much. You want to look at your log, like I said. Okay, this one's got a little bit of a bow here. It's not that bad. Not bad at all. I just don't want it moving and rocking around. Yeah, that's pretty solid there. But yeah, there's a little bit of a bow there, but it's, like I said, it's not really bad at all. I'm pretty impressed with that. But like I said, the right way to do it, I think, is when you flip it over, which actually I could do, I guess. I just don't want to be doing any heavy lifting or nothing. But so if it is so, you just pick your log up. I guess they're not really that heavy anyway. All you do is just give it a turn to where you want it. All right, like that. Like I say, you don't want it weeble wobbling on here either, because you're going to be milling it, and you want to keep it as steady as you can. Let's see. That's a little bit better. I'm kind of more happier with that. It's just the wobble I don't like. Sometimes you got to turn your sawhorses just in a certain direction, just so they meet. With the snow on the ground too, it doesn't help either, because the ground's all unlevel, and you just got to work with things until I can build a new stand. It's not too bad. It's still got a little bit of a wobble under. We'll fix that. What do we got happening here? Get this one over just a little bit. There we go. Okay, that's pretty good there. I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, now the fun part. Okay, now what I did here, I'm trying to stay out of the shadow of the light. At least I'm getting sunlight. I'm happy of that. I had to cut these just 1 inch pieces, and I had to groove them out like that, just for my rail to sit into. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be screwing this onto my log to do my first cut. But just made 2 of them. It's just an easy little setup. I like the wood better and the screws going in this way than some guys. They drill their screws on top of the log with a ladder or anything like that. I don't like that, because sooner enough, you're going to hit that screw with your chain. So this way it kind of avoids the safety of it knocking your chain out or damaging their chain or anything. Another thing I've had this for on my gun range, is ear protection. There's another good item that you should have. Should always have safety glasses, because you do get wood chips and everything. That obviously, whatever, you don't want to get that in the face. Another thing is you're going to need is a drill. And another really important thing you should have, I'm just trying to walk around the camera here, is a real must. You have to have these, otherwise your saw is going to get pinched in a log, is you got to have wedges. So I made my own wedges. These ones are actually a little bit too thick to me. I got to shave them down. But oh well, I make them do. This is about the size that you want for a wedge. But I'm going to demonstrate that in the video too as well. Another thing too you need, I probably should have mentioned, is get yourself a little level, because you are going to need that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to be a little bit lower on this end, because you got to look at your log. Actually, this log's not bad. So I'm going to put my guide right here for my rails. It's going to stand up here a little bit. I'm going to put that right about there. Oh. Now normally you can go and count like from the center of your tree, and you can measure up how high you want to make it go. Myself, I've done enough now or whatever, I can almost pretty much eyeball it, but sometimes your center is not centered. Sometimes it's off a little bit, just how the tree grew. So I'm going to put that one there, and then what you do is you take your level, put that on top, and make sure that this part is level. You want to make darn sure she's close. And then what I do here with my screw so I don't knock my level out, I just put a little bit on each side. See, it's skipping a little bit. There, nice and level. Now we're going to go over and do the other side. Okay, now here on the other side of the log, wherever, like I said, I'm not doing any measuring for the center, because my center is right here. It's not here or nothing. This is off-centered. And you're going to find a lot of logs like that. Unless it's a straight growing tree that's not thick in the bush like some of the bush that I've been into. So we're going to get this one up here, but I'm going to bring this one up just a little bit higher than I did on the other end. So I just want to go a little bit higher because of the shape of the log. So take a look here and make sure my screws are going to go in. That looks close enough to me. All right, now we're going to make sure that this is nice and level. Oh, look at that, I just about had that eyeballed. Not bad at all. I'm just going to move it just a little tiny bit. All right, we're just going a little bit on this end. Just get it started, and a little bit on this end. There. Simple as that. Now we just got to get our rail on. All right, get our rail. Get this set on here. See how nice and snug that sits? Now when you're putting your chainsaw mill on here, whatever, it's not going to fall off, or you're going to have it on here. It's going to be nice and straight for you. Another thing I did is I put screws on each end of my rail, just so when you're running your chainsaw mill or whatever, this ain't going to slide and fall off. So it kind of just locks her in place like that. What I usually do is I push it ahead, and then I got enough room to put my chainsaw mill on, so I get a nice straight to begin to cut. And as I'm going down, sometimes this will slide ahead, or I'll even push it ahead, and it's just nicer when you take your saw off. But you'll see that in this little quick demonstration that we're going to do on this cut. Now before you start, always make sure that you have enough bar oil and gasoline in the chainsaw, because once it's on that rail, well then you pretty much have to stop and slide that saw all the way back to the end. So it's kind of a pain. So always make sure you got and you need bar oil. Like there's no ands, ifs, or buts. Sometimes I'll even use used cooking oil. That like for an example, here not too long ago we had a walleye fish fry, and Tammy was going to throw it out, but didn't know where actually how to get rid of it. And I said, hey, I'll use that. And what I do is I just kind of pour that on my saw bar, or on the bar itself. And it kind of helps keep the chain cool, keeps things lubricated, kind of thing. You don't have to, but I don't, just I'm using it, not just throwing it out. But anyways, okay, we got pretty much everything I want set up. It's just a matter of getting the saw ready. Another thing you want to do is let your saw idle for a minute or two, like let it slowly warm up. And then as I'm milling through, you'll see, you just kind of stop and take a break. Let the saw cool down, because this is a small saw. This is only like a 45cc saw. So you kind of want to you got to put wedges in anyway. So it gives the saw just kind of cool down a little bit. And then when we're done cutting, don't shut your saw off right away. That even goes for a 70cc or 90cc saw. Just let it idle for a minute and then it'll cool itself down. That's just less wear and tear of your saw. Okay, now I'm just letting that saw cool down for, yeah, give it a minute. That's a lot of work trying that little saw to cut through that log. Like I said before, it's any saw, whatever that you're going to use, just let it idle, let it cool itself down before you even think of shutting it off. So anyways, okay, we're going to take our wedges out that I put in. But you can see with the wedges, so your log's not pinching against your chain, so now you're really overworking your saw, or it could make your saw chain go somewhere where you don't want it to go. So I'm going to take these wedges out. Sometimes on the end one here that does fall off because it's so thick, but this one didn't this time, so I'm happy with that. So we're going to get this rail off here. I'm just going to set it off to the side. Actually, I can set it right down here out of my way. I'll set that down. And going to get my trusty drill here again. All right, we're going to take these off here. Oh. You can tell I've been using these screws quite a bit or whatever. They're starting to get wore out, so it's almost time to replace these screws and put brand new ones in because they're starting to slip off my drill bit. And usually I just set it down below here or whatever, so because I'm going to be using them again. But anyways, let's get this first slab off. Just going to put it off to the side here for now. And another thing you need is get ourselves a little broom, and you want to clean this off. Now this ain't going to be a perfect cut board or whatever that you think like you see at a sawmill. It's not like that. It's a rough cut, and basically they're designed for your own personal use or whatever to make your own lumber. But it's not an industrial sawmill. There we go. Actually, that board cut pretty nice. So you can see, like with the milling chain, now if a milling chain is dull, which I'll show you after a bit here, you're gonna have wedges like this. And if you're moving your saw back and forth, and you're trying to force your saw through there, you're gonna get these ridges in here and you're gonna have a mess of your board. But with a proper ripping chain, like I said, I made my own, you get this nice beautiful cut. But you just gotta take your time. It's gotta, especially the smaller saws, it's a slower process than a bigger CC saw. Like I say, you just take your time and your results or whatever will come out pretty darn good. But that's a nice cut piece, so now I'm gonna adjust my saw, and I think I'm gonna make a 2x4 out of this piece. All right, let's get this up on my table. The other thing is when you're picking up these chainsaw mills, don't grab it by the handle like this. It's just more wear and tear in your saw. You're putting a lot of pressure on that saw, so don't do that. And sound like old grandpa whining and crying, but I'm not. So anyways, let's get this on the table here. Now it's just a matter of adjusting our depth or whatever on our sawmill. Okay, I got my handy dandy little saw wrench here that comes with your chainsaw. It's nice how it fits everything. I'm pretty happy with that. So what you want to do is loosen off your U-bolts up here for your gauges. Sometimes you'll get sawdust on there you can't see. So what we're going to do, we're going to kind of slowly loosen this stuff off. See, and you don't have to have it super tight. I did that and I stripped it. You don't have to be super tight. You just don't want it to slide up and down on you while you're chainsaw milling. So we're just going to get this loosened off. Come on. Doesn't take long. It's like I say, you're not going to be doing anything industrial with this little chainsaw mill, but it is handy for around the acreage or around your homestead where you can cut your own lumber and not pay those high prices. So Tammy was thinking there when she bought me this mill. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this down. We're going to make a 2x4. So I'm just going to, oh, come on. Okay, and then you set her down to about your 2-inch. Okay, I'm not going to fully tighten that yet until I get this up to 2 inches. Sometimes you get sawdust in your way, but that's okay. It's not a clean job, but it's a lot of fun, I must say. This is a lot of fun. But yeah, we'll get this all tightened down, nice and tight. I always double check too to make sure it stays on that 2 inches. Usually it's hard to, this is a little troublesome because you gotta to move it back and forth wherever to get it to move up or down. But you get used to it as you're using the machine or the mill. Like I say, I'm not going awfully super tight with it. You don't have to. Just snug. I think that'd be good enough for that. All right. Okay, I should have enough gas. I'll do that one more cut again. Okay, now I got it set at 2 inches and everything. So now we're not going to be using the rail at all this time. We don't need it. We're going to be setting our mill on top of this nice cut piece off this log. And we're going to use this as our guide. And we're going to cut our 2-inch slab out of that. All right. I can't hear you. All right, we're gonna get our mill up there set up and get her fired up, let it warm up for about a minute, and we're gonna do some more cutting. Okay, let's see what our board's gonna look like here. Oh, she's looking nice. I'm gonna set this on this side here. Get my little broom out. Get this all nicely cleaned off. Yeah, it looked like it turned out pretty darn good. There's our result on that bad boy. This other slab that I'm sweeping off right now, I left it on there for a reason because I think I can get another 1x4 out of that. So I'm going to cut that again, but I'm not going to bore you guys through the whole video of me cutting every slab. I think you guys are getting the right idea, like what I'm doing for doing affordable things or whatever that I'm doing around our acreage. All right, I'll set that broom there. Let's see here what our board's at. Just exactly 2 inches. On this end here, 2 inches. Dead on the money. Loving every minute of it. Wow. And 2 inches. Nice cut straight board. Very, very happy. Now sometimes you'll get like, see there's little notches right here like this. That's just a matter of like if you're moving your chainsaw. I imagine when I was putting it up on here, whatever, didn't have it quite straight, so I kind of had to lift the back end up. So you got to be careful doing that, and you'll get stuff like this, which is not a big deal. A planer will take that out, or you can just leave it as is if you're just going to be building stuff with rough lumber. But usually I'll put this in a pile now, and what I'll do, whatever, is until I get enough of them, and then I'll use actually a skill saw, and then I'll do the edging, and then I'll have a perfect 2x4. But that's nice wood, and this is not even wet wood. This is not green. This is just a dry log or whatever that I pulled out of the bush when I was trail building. but no rot or nothing in this board. Like, see, there's a lot of that deadfall that's crisscrossed out there, where it's good wood. So why just make it into firewood when I can make myself some nice lumber? Okay, and I'll get this to my pile. Yeah, this is a nice board. Right. So I'm setting it here. This is where all these boards here that's got to get edged. I'll set that on top of the other ones I made, and looking great. Let's go check out, see the lumber I made. Here's a few of the 2x4s that I done. This one here, you can tell this one's green. This one here, she's wet, so it'll take a little while for it to dry. But it'll show you, like, if your saw is dull, you're gonna know, because if it's gonna start jumping and stuff, and you're gonna get yourself in a mess. See these ridges in here? Like, that will come out with the planer. But this is what's gonna happen with the dull chain, or if you're gonna try and use it with a crosscut chain, you're gonna get results like this. You want nice smooth stuff. Like, you know, you want stuff like this where, you know, see where my chain, I was at the end of the day, and she was starting to get dull. But still, this lumber turned out really good. Like, there's some nice pieces in here. That's a nice set of nice 2x4s. Now this little pile here is I made my 4x4s. But yeah, these turned out really nice. I'll use it for some kind of a building project. Tammy was actually talking to me about maybe building a greenhouse this summer, so that'll make nice skids or whatever to put the greenhouse on, so if I had to move it, then I could. Now this is my first cut slabs. Honestly, I'm not sure what I want to do with it yet. I've had people talk to me, said they'll buy this off me just for fencing, or maybe siding of a woodshed, or maybe a horse shed or something like that. So I kind of put them off to the side here, and I'll see if nobody wants them. It's going to go in my sawbuck, and I'm just going to make firewood out of it. This one's actually a little bit short, but I kept it anyway. I wasn't going to keep it. This is actually a 3-inch. But I thought, you know, it will come in handy for something. There's no use wasting it. So there'll be a project I might only need a 3-inch board. So I kind of kept that. But yeah, it's got some really nice foreign lumber out of this. If I had a planer or whatever, maybe in time I will get a planer, plane it out. Actually, it'll even be nicer. But for out here on the acreage, you know, if you're for quad trail building, and you know, I'm going to build little bridges and stuff like that, well, I don't really need a planer. I'm just going to use rough lumber, but it is nice and handy to have the lumber, especially the price of lumber these days is just crazy. Especially here in Alberta, we got so many lumber mills, and we're paying a high price for lumber. But that's just the way life goes. So little sawmill like that, at least you have your own lumber you can build and make, have your own projects. You're not out buying lumber, you just go make your own. If you need a 10-foot board or a 2x4, well, go cut one. Just go to the bush in your trails, find a deadfall or a tree, and cut it, bring it back, and make yourself some good lumber. Now another thing you're going to have lots of, and that's this sawdust. And this, from the ripping chain or whatever, it's a finer sawdust than a crosscut chain. A crosscut chain, you're going to get bigger chunks out of it. For your milling chain or it's a little bit more finer stuff, eh? And I'll show you quickly or whatever. I even put that into use too. I don't let it just pile up, because usually after a day of sawing and everything, well, actually I take my little quad trailer, and it's a dump trailer, so I kind of clean this up, and I'll take you out real quickly and I'll show you what I'm going to do with that. So with all that sawdust, I don't let it go to waste, and I don't want it to build up and make a big mess at my milling area. So what I've been doing is I've been spreading it on my ATV trails. And then what I'm going to do is, then you watch my previous videos where I've had that tire drag. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag that tires through here, and it's going to spread it even more. And the purpose of this, it's going to take the nitrogen out of the soil, so the grass won't grow up as fast or nothing. Plus it'll make your trail look a little nicer. Anywhere where there's a soft spots or anything like that, where it's like muskeggy area and stuff, you don't want to use sawdust in that, because you're just going to make it worse. But here it's nice and dry, right to the gun range. So I've been slowly just kind of spreading sawdust on the ATV trail here. But it looks kind of neat right now, but in the springtime, like I say, after driving the tire drag over it a few times, it's going to blend in, it's going to spread it down even more and look a lot better, but it will take the nitrogen out of the soil, and then you don't get all that grass and everything growing up steady, so it makes your trails even look a little nicer for you. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole log with you. I imagine you've seen a lot of videos on chainsaw milling, and there's lots out there. I just want to give you a little quick demonstration of what I'm going to be doing with all that deadfall and everything instead of just cutting it up for firewood. Well, no, I'm going to make myself some lumber out of the deal now. That nicely Tammy bought me that mill. But anyways, I'm going to call this an ending of this video. I don't want to make it too long for you. And I'm telling you, if you like this video, check these videos out. I know darn well you're going to like them too. Or even hit that subscribe button and you'll be notified every time I come out with a new video. So anyways, that's a wrap, and we'll see you on the next Measures Adventures. Have fun, everybody, and you guys have one awesome weekend.